Two cyclists X and Y leave town Q at the same time. Cyclist X travel at a rate of 5 km per hour on bearing 049 degrees, and cyclist Y travel at a rate of 9 km per hour on bearing 319 degrees. Now the questions: A. Illustrate the information on a diagram. B. After traveling for 2 hours, calculate correct to nearest whole number. D. Distance between cyclist X and Y. And Roman 2, we have to calculate correct to the nearest whole number, the bearing of cyclist X from Y. And the question number C is requesting us to find the average speed at which cyclist X will get to Y in 4 hours. So let me attempt to answer all those questions. Solution to this: the first question is to illustrate this information on a drawing or on a diagram. It says there are two cyclists X and Y, and they leave town Q at the same time. The two of them leave town Q at the same time. So let me get to my Q, location of Q. This is the location of Q because both of them, this is their departure point. They leave this town Q at the same time. But cyclist X, whose rate is 5 km per hour on bearing 049. So let me take the bearing. It what gives me the direction of his movement. So 049 is the angle, is the bearing. 049, we always take the bearing from north line, and we move in clockwise direction. So we measure 049 from starting from here, the north line, and we in clockwise direction. So 049 is now going to be an angle like this. Then you draw a line that will gives you the direction of cyclist X. So the angle is now 49 degrees. So I continue. Next is cyclist Y, and the bearing that he takes cyclist Y is 319. So from the same point Q, cyclist Y departure point is also point Q. So we'll take this angle starting from the north line. I'll take 319. 319 will now be in the fourth quadrant. It's bigger than 270 even, so it will be somewhere here, starting from here down here, 319. So direction he takes will now be somewhere like this. So let me draw a line. So this is the direction that cyclist Y take, and this angle is now going to be 319 degrees. So I continue. I will now try to complete this and indicate the distance from Q to X and from Q to Y, because the rate is given at which they move, that is their speed is given, and the time is also given. They take after, it says after 2 hours. After 2 hours. So I'll complete this so that I have a triangle, complete triangle. So let me calculate the distance, because speed is given for each cyclist and the time is 2 hours for each cyclist after departure. So the distance QX, which I use the concept distance equals to speed times time. The speed is always the speed. So distance QX, using concept, distance equals to speed times time. QX is the distance cyclist X travel after 2 hours, and the rate at which he travel or he moved, that is his speed, is 5 km per hour. So it's going to be 5 multiplied by 2. 5 is the speed, that is the rate, then times 2 hours. In question number B, it says we have to find their distance after 2 hours, distance apart after 2 hours. So I have the 2 hours now, speed times time. This give answer 10. So QX is now 10 kilometers. From Q to X is now 10 kilometers. So I did the same to get to QY. QY also speed times time. Speed times time. The speed is 9 km per hour for cyclist Y, and he took 2 hours cycling. So the distance is now going to be 9 multiplied by 2. That answer is going to be 18. So I have 18 kilometers from Q to Y. So with this, I have answered question number A. So I'll move to question number B in the next page. Question B says, after traveling for 2 hours, calculate correct to the nearest whole number the distance between X and Y. Distance between X and Y after 2 hours will be nothing but the length of this side of the triangle. So distance between cyclic X and Y will be the length of this side of the triangle. So eventually I'm going to use the cosine rule, but that distance xy will now be given by the formula. Cosine rule says qx square plus qy square minus 2 times qx times qy cos angle at q. This is the angle at q, angle of the triangle. But this angle is missing. I need to find it. This angle is missing. I have to find it. It will give me the angle that I'm going to use here, angle at q. So let me get this angle. If I let this missing angle to be beta, if this is beta, this beta, if I can have it, I will have a complete cycle here, because from here down here is 319. So if I can add it to beta, it gives me complete angle in a cycle. So to get that beta, what I will need to do, it says 360 total angle in a complete cycle minus 319. This will give me beta. So subtracting 319 from 360 will give answer 41. So this angle beta is now 41, which means I can find this angle in the triangle, meaning angle at Q, by simply adding 41 and 49. 41 and 49. So addition of that angle will be 90 degrees. So I can now move and substitute in my form cosine rule. The qx is 10 square plus 18 square, that is qy, minus 2 times 10 times 18 times cos 90 degrees. Angle at q is now 90. Look at it. So as this angle is even right angle triangle, I can equally even use my Pythagoras. Of course, this cosine rule, the same thing as the Pythagoras theorem, because this eventually will be 0. Let's move. So 10 square is 100, 18 square is 324, minus 2 times 10 times 18, that will give answer 360, then times cos 90 is 0. So if I continue adding and subtracting, this answer will be 424. It's simply 100 plus 324, because 360 times 0 is 0 finally. So this I have 424. So I will now take the square root of both sides so that I will get the distance xy. So distance xy after taking square root of 424 is going to be 20.5912 kilometers. But in the question, I am requested to approximate my answer to nearest whole number. So I will not stop here. I have to approximate this to nearest whole number. So approximating this to nearest whole number give answer 21 kilometers. So distance xy, or distance between the two cyclists after 2 hours, is now going to be 21 kilometers. So with that, I have answered Roman 1 of question number B. So I'll move to Roman 2 of that very question. Let me move to the next page. So Roman 2, I'm asked to find the bearing of cyclist X from Y. This is cyclist X, and this is the pointer of cyclist Y. So I'm to find the bearing of X from Y. So you see that I'm going to draw the direction of north, east, and west. It's as to Y, because I'm taking bearing of X but from Y. So you see that I'm going to draw. So let me draw that. So I'm going to have this. So this bearing of X from Y will be nothing but this angle gamma. And the angle gamma is angle from the north line to the line linking y to x. So if I can find this angle gamma, it will simply be the bearing of x from y. So let me see what I can do to get this angle gamma. If I can get this angle inside the triangle that I call alpha, I'm going to use it to enable me get gamma. So this angle alpha, because this triangle is a right angle triangle, we have seen that this beta is 41, and 41 added to 49 give answer 90 degrees. So this is a right angle triangle, so I can equally use my trig ratio to find the alpha. So alpha would now be equals to tan of 10 over 18. Remember, tangent ratio says opposite over adjacent. So opposite to alpha is 10, adjacent to alpha is 18. So tan alpha will be 10 over 18. So alpha is now going to be tan inverse of 0.5556. 0.5556 is dividing 10 by 18. So tan inverse of that is going to be 29.06 degrees. So the angle alpha is now 29.06 degrees. So let me move. I'm interested in getting gamma. Remember, gamma is the bearing of x from y. So I have alpha now as 29. Let me see if I can get this very angle, because the three angles gamma, alpha, and this will now be angle on straight line, which I know as 180. So let me call it theta. This angle theta, the three angles will now be angle on straight line. So if I can get this, I already have alpha, I can get my gamma. So this theta, the angle theta, is the same thing as beta. Why is beta? Look at beta here. The angle beta, I have it already as 41 degrees. And this angle beta and the theta, the two angles are alternated to each other because this line pointing northward and this line pointing northwards are parallel. So the beta and the theta will now be equal because they will now be alternate angles. So theta is now known as 41 degrees. So therefore I can get my gamma because I said gamma plus alpha plus theta, they form angle on straight line. So they will be 180. So to get gamma, simply I'll subtract the remaining two. So my bearing will now be 180 minus the sum of theta and alpha. But theta is 41, alpha is 29.06. So substituting, I have 180 minus bracket 41 plus 29.06. So adding and subtracting, I'm going to have 110 degrees approximately to nearest whole number. So this will now be the bearing of x from y. So question Roman 2 under question B has now been answered also. So I move to question number C, in which we ask to find the average speed at which cyclist X will get to Y in 4 hours. This cyclist X, if he is going to meet cyclist Y in 4 hours, what will now be the average speed that he will cycle from X to Y? The distance is given already, so we want to find the average speed, but if he is to reach there in 4 hours time. So question number C, the average speed. Speed, remember, is distance divided by time. The distance from X to reach Y is 21 kilometers in this question. So I'm going to have 20.5912. I decided to use this instead of 21 to avoid errors because this 21 was approximated value. So I decided to use 20.5912. The one obtained before approximating to the nearest whole number to get 21. So let me use that, is more precise so that it do not affect this my answer. So divided by 4 hours. So this will give answer 5.1478 kilometer per hour. So this will now be the average speed, but we need to approximate it to 2 places of decimal, so it is going to be 5.15 kilometer per hour. This will now be the average speed of cyclist X if he is to reach or to get cyclist Y in 4 hours. So with that, we have answered all the questions. So let us move and see the mark distribution of these very questions according to the official Waec marking scheme. So let me go back to that very first page where I did the drawing. So let us see the mark distribution now. I'm in the first page. So the first mark was bonus 2 marks. For making this drawing accurately, bonus 2 marks. In this drawing, the angle 49 must be seen. Angle 319 must be seen. Similarly, the points X, Q, Y must also be seen. So if you do that, together with the distance 18 and 10 kilometers, you have bonus 2 marks. Some that are missing, minus half for each one that is missing, all those information. Then the next mark is the bonus 1 mark for either obtaining 10 kilometers as the distance QX using speed times time, or for getting distance 18 kilometers for QY using speed times time. So I have 3 marks here. I'll continue next page. The other marks here, the first mark is for using the cosine rule or for using the Pythagoras, whichever one as the case may be. You can equally use Pythagoras like I have said, because the triangle eventually happens to be a right angle triangle. So for either using Pythagoras or cosine rule, you have the method 1 mark. And for getting distance xy approximately to the nearest whole number exactly as 21 kilometers, you have the accuracy mark. So make it a total of 5 with the 3 behind. So let me move to the next page. The next page, the marks are like this. And the first mark is M method mark for using the tangent ratio in attempt to get this angle alpha using the tangent ratio 10/18. You have the method 1 mark. And getting alpha as 29.06 accurately, you have accuracy 1 mark there. Then the next mark is for adding the alpha and the theta. You want to, in attempt to subtract from 180 to get the size of gamma, that is the bearing. So you have that method mark for adding alpha and the theta. And similarly, for simplifying or trying to subtract from 180, you have another method 1 mark over here. And getting the bearing of x from y exactly 110 degrees to the nearest whole number, you have the accuracy 1 mark over here. Then the last 2 marks is for attempt to get the average speed. You have the method mark. The method mark here would now be awarded if you are trying to divide by 4 the distance obtained as the distance from x to y. So if you divide that by 4 hours, you get this method mark. And if the answer is correctly written as 5.15 kilometer per hour with the correct unit, you have the accuracy 1 mark. So in total, the question has 12 marks according to the official Waec marking scheme.